First of all, Scott's actually the only tech guy I know that actually has an amazing personality. What do you stand behind me like Brian?
No. That's all Brian.
And I'm like, whoa, what happened there? Brian, he's picking, anyway. But Scott's the only tech guy I know literally, and like computer guy or whatever you want to call it. He's got an amazing personality. He loves to teach, and he loves working with people. He loves customer service, which you never find that combination. So I think it was about a year ago. I approached Scotty. We were starting to grow. We needed somebody who knew tech in the office, and Scott was the guy I called. And so, as he was saying yesterday, in the beginning, Sarah was kind of teaching him how to do a few things. Didn't take long before Scotty had this whole thing mastered, and he's really an expert at our technology. And so he's going to go through some stuff and do a little Q&A, and
I'm going to do my best.
Give him a little knowledge. Scotty Webb, baby, do it.
Thank you guys for having me, everybody. It's nice to put some faces with the voices that we talk to on a regular basis. It's not just me. I know Fred brought me in so we could build a team, and it's the customer service team that Sarah and I work together with. It's not just me, it's Sarah as well. She's helped me a lot to get the team together that we like. You've probably talked with a bunch of them so far. Alexis, Steffi, Itzel, Jason. They're a good group of people, and we work as a nice knit family up there, kind of like you guys work as your nice knit family here. So I appreciate all the accolades about it, but it's not just me, it's them. My titles are relevant too. I'm here to help you guys build your business, and if that means teaching you about tech, I'll stand up here and talk until I turn purple about how to do this stuff. Or if it means just showing you how to teach yourself, which is my goal instead, we're going to do that. So that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over some of the products that we have, we're going to go over some of the technology that we use, and we're going to teach you how to be better at yourself. So Garrett's phone doesn't ring all the time when people are asking him how to do this, although I think he loves it. I don't blame him. I love it too. So let's start it here. This one goes first. That one. I'm just going to press a button until it works.
Is the right one?
I did that one.
Is it turned on the top left?
It is turned on. Oh, I probably need that little USB device. There you go.
Yes, you do.
All right, so I resign. Who wants my job? Okay. Take two. That's okay. Okay, so I don't have any fancy, it doesn't float in because I made this in the last couple of days. And this is just a guide. You have questions, stop me, we'll go over them, okay? But I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, and then we'll see what we open it up to. So let's talk about some tech first. I can go back decades. We talk about cordless phones and flat screen TVs and DVDs, your dial-up internet with the silly noise and the welcome you have mail, right? You got your cell phones, your websites, and your smart home automation. All these have in common that the technology is moving forward with or without you. So you can get on board and you can learn about it, or you can let it pass you by, which is fine too, and you can stick with your cordless phones and your dial-up internet. My dad's still got a flip phone. He insists that it works better than mine. It's true on occasion, just for phone calls though. But the tech is still moving forward. That's how it's going to happen. And one of the biggest things that I see with everybody is the fear behind it, that they get nervous about it. So should you be afraid of it? You can be. And like I said, you can give up, or you can use it. That's the only way it's going to work here, and I think they're all realizing that that's how this works. The multi-level marketing companies that I've worked with in the past, whether it be through Fred or others, a lot of it was you get the product in the customer's hands, and then they would use the product, and it was very self-explanatory. This needs a little bit of the DIT, the do it together. So you're going to have to use it yourself for you to get good at it. You're also going to have to use it yourself to be confident about it. And I promise you that. Again, when I started, Sarah was my guide, and so was Chris within the first couple of days. After a week, I already knew how to use the products because I was forced to use them to fix them for you guys. Maybe you all weren't here yet. Jan, I know I helped you a couple times at the beginning. So. And that's the only way to do it. And don't be afraid of it. Frustration is a killer. I think I said this the other day in one of the breakout rooms, but pick one product at a time that you set up, and if you get stuck with it, take a break from it. Walk away from it for a couple minutes and come back to it. Don't let it beat you, okay? And if you really get stuck, you can always reach out to your help, which is going to be the next slide, but you want to become your people's expert. Okay, where is my support? There's some videos. They have some Jack Smart videos on the Get Jacks or the on the back office. Your sponsor can also be corporate or yourself. So I've been in the tech business since 1994. I taught myself. My brother used to have to tell me how to turn the computer on. He's 8 years younger than I am. But I taught myself year after year on how to do this stuff, and I still have people that I've known for 20 years that will call me for computer help because it's something I taught myself, and I feel confident about it, and it comes across with the way I talk to them. So they always feel comfortable calling me, even if it's something I have never worked on before. I feel confident that if it's technology, I'm going to be able to figure it out. And I know you guys can too. So I'm their expert, you're going to be your customer's expert. Okay? We're just going to go over a couple of these things. You can stop me if you have any questions. I don't have a problem with that. The devices are back there so we can look at them together if you wish. But we're going to start with the garage door, okay? So it's terribly convenient, especially when we talk about stuff that's coming down the road, which is the third one, the geofencing. When you get close to your house, it's going to open for you, okay? And it's something that's one of those things that if you never had it, that's fine. But once you start using it, just like all these products, it just becomes part of your life, okay? You can also set this thing up to do other things. So when the garage door opens, I have a light in my basement because that's where my garage door is. It leads up to my house. The light goes on. This way I don't have to worry about the light not being on. And when the garage door shuts, the light goes off. You can even set it to do stuff like unlock the door. It doesn't work with the MyQ garage doors. Yes.
Find a way around it.
Okay, good. We can talk later because that's what the company's telling us. And see, this is part of why we do all this too. We ran into plenty of problems when I started a year ago where it just wouldn't work and we can find a workaround. So that's great. Because even the company that makes this says that it's not compatible. So, good. Yeah, excellent. So we can work on that later. And if it's something that's a DIT, we'll do it together. Maybe it's something a little more complicated. I can't imagine. It's only 2 wires, so I can't imagine it's too complicated. So, and then the tilt sensor, that's the little black device that comes with it. It's got to be mounted flush, and it has to have the arrow going in the right direction. But we do have videos for this, okay? You can go and watch that video, and then you can set it up yourself. And then when your customer calls and says, hey, I'm installing this garage door, or that's part of one of the products they pick with their package, you're going to be a little bit educated or even just perfectly educated to go over there and help them set that up if they need it. You can direct them to those videos, and if they get stuck, then you can go over and help. Thermostat.
Question.
Shoot.
Do you need a gateway and a sensor for each garage door?
Yes, you're going to need the sensor and the gateway talk to each other, so you'll need both if you have multiple garage doors. Okay.
And do they work with, are there specific brands they don't work with?
The MyQ, although Dean says that's not the truth, so that's what the company says.
Out of the box.
Right, out of the box they don't. I think Chaplin is one of them that does it. There's a couple of, that don't work with that.
But the main ones, Liftmaster, Craftsman, Genie.
They say that those work. They said that they work with, on their website, 80 or 90% of the stuff out of the box. So the way it works, without being too technical and boring the hell out of you because it's right after lunch, is that it's just 2 wires. It takes the place of the button that you have at the bottom of your stairs. You can press it and it opens the garage door. All that is an open-close switch. So that's what this garage door does, but it has that unique Z-Wave device that we all love in it. That is what you can control from your phone. So it's just sending that signal. So the workaround is probably just doing a wiring workaround would be my guess. Yeah. So yeah, that's the answer to that. So there are other things that we can do to work around that, but most of the stuff out of the box, it works with most of them.
So 2
Okay.
garage doors, you need 2 gateways.
2 garage doors, 2 gateways, yes.
Okay.
And then the tilt sensor comes with the package itself. So thermostat. This saves a ton of money on heating and cooling, especially when you get good at it. Now Garrett's going to come up after me and show you how to set some scenes, but I've gone through for my own personal house. I live up in Connecticut where it's very cold right now. And I set my thermostat up to turn on, up, and off at certain times. So if somebody in my house forgets to turn the heat off, it goes off automatically, or it slowly goes down. And what that's done is that occasional time where, I ran off to work and I didn't remember to turn the thermostat off, you don't even have to get on your app. I already have it set up as a timed scene, so it will automatically go down at a certain time. At 8 o'clock, my house is empty. You're more than welcome to break into it. There's nothing in there. But at 8:05, that temperature goes down. And I don't have to worry about the oil. And I can't tell you how many times that I come home and it was still set to 68. and the only person in the house is the damn dog and the cat, and they don't really need it. They've got built-in insulation. So that's actually saved me a bunch of money, and we know how the price of oil is. That's what I use up there, or whether it be gas or electricity. So it's going to save you a bunch of money. You can adjust the temperature from anywhere. Why is that relevant? You're leaving work and it's cold. You can turn the heat on. You're in the summertime. You're leaving wherever. You can turn the air conditioner on. So when you get home, it's already at the temperature of your liking. Okay? Here's a hint. Take a picture of your existing wiring before you start any of this. Okay? Because that's an important piece. The wiring is very straightforward. It clips in. So you take out the wire that's in its place, you put it into the new one, it clips in place. Typically no screwdrivers or anything needed, especially for our devices. Maybe for the one you're taking off it might. But take a picture so you have a point where you can go backwards. Also, you have to make sure it's in the off mode. You'll see on the thermostat there's heat, cool, and then off. You have to make sure it's in the off mode for you to actually learn it into our hub. And Garrett's told me, and this is a good point, you should probably make sure that your furnace is turned off so there's no crossing of wires or touching things that we're not experts at unless you're an electrician, right? Electricians. You want to make sure that's off so you don't blow a fuse, right? Yeah.
And also make sure if you're installing this in June, turn your heat on because it may be broken from last.
Yeah, it's a good thing to test everything. When I put mine on, I tested both the heat and the cool just to make sure everything's working. Yeah, yeah, right, before you install. Test your own damn heat before you put the RS in and blame it on that device. If I could go back to the page before with the garage door opener, I won't, but the best thing to do with that, because it's located in your garage, is to learn the device in. Why is that? We talk about these devices being able to take the signal and send it. It does that little mesh network, correct? It's not going to do that before you set it up. It doesn't know any better. Once it's set up, it becomes part of the mesh network as long as it's plugged in. Anything working off battery does not do a mesh network. So the thermostat will not, but the garage door will. But if your garage door is in your basement, like most people, and the hub might be in your study on the other side of the house, you're going to have trouble learning that in. So you don't want to install it in your garage before you learn it into the system. You can plug it in, hit the buttons, learn it in, you see it on your app, then bring it downstairs, and then you can plug it in. It's fine. Yes?
If you forgot you already installed it,
Take it down.
so unplug your hub because it's got a battery backup. If you have a cellular card, you can go just.
That's a good point, yeah. If you can also, if you had a cell card or a really, really long Ethernet cord, you can unplug your hub and get it as close as possible. I've done that at people's houses where I've helped them set stuff up where the only solution was for me to go to my car and get a 20-foot Ethernet cord and go as far as I could, and it was just close enough to make whatever device learn in. So, yeah, Brian.
Did you say no Z-Wave devices that are battery operated?
The Z-Wave devices that are battery powered do not create a mesh network. And what I mean by mesh network, and listen, if you hear a term that I'm talking about, stop me. Because this is the stuff that you talk about with your customers that are going to make them look at you and go, you know what you're talking about. Okay? So a mesh network means that anything plugged in is going to take the signal. And the signal is coming from the hub. It's going to grab it and then repeat it to the next thing that's plugged in. That means that, let's say the hub's over there and this is its limit as far as it goes. If I have a plug in the middle, that limit's going to get stretched to here now. And the next thing I have plugged in that will repeat it, will get it stretched to there. Why does it do that? Because it has a failover point. So instead of the signal going in one line, and let's say this device is either doing something and it's slowing itself down or it's broken, it's going to make its way through the network to find the quickest way to turn on and off devices. Doesn't work with battery powered ones. So the thermostat, again, that's not going to have the ability to do part of the mesh network. It's only going to connect to the closest device. What? The same thing with the locks. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, the locks at your front door aren't going to do that either. But your dimmers or your smart switches or your garage door openers, all these things are going to do that though for you. And a couple of other devices that we have back there that are powered by electricity and not by battery. So the thermostat, I know we have the new one coming out too. It's going to be the same concept. These are going to still be the same rules that you're going to want to follow. Okay? Yes. Question.
Is that just for electric or gas-operated thermostats as well?
What? Can we use it in gas?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. Gas and electric and oil. And what's that other one that keeps popping up? The heat pump. Thank you. Yes. The alarm.com one, we're going to look into it, and if there are any limitations, we're going to spread that word to you guys so you can spread it to your customers. You're going to be their expert. That's what we're doing today. Or I'll learn how to be experts. Okay, the door lock we were just talking about. Is that the first thing? Okay, you can open it from anywhere. No more worries about keys. How many people have dog walkers? And we saw that before. Or cleaning staff, or a nanny, or any of these things that you want to let people in and out of your house without having to worry about giving them a key and whether they gave the key back or worse, made a duplicate of that key. So I own a cafe. Having this at my cafe, if one of those, you get what you pay for, $1 an hour, people forget their keys, I can open up the place before I get there. Isn't that nice? I don't have to worry about rushing over there and my cafe's not open. You can open the door and disarm the system at the same time, which is nice as well. So you can have even your child coming home from school be able to open the door and disarm the system at the same time. Whether they have to learn how to use that app or not, this is just one of the other ways that you can know that they're secure. Make sure you learn it before you put the installation. This is super important because the garage door thing is a couple of screws, a couple of wires, and you just whatever, but the front door lock, that's a little bit more complicated than to take apart and have to move. And we've seen that a couple times, and that's unfortunate that the hindsight wasn't there to maybe learn that in beforehand. To learn it in is just, you put the hub in learning mode like we all have done before, we know how to do it, and you press the A button, which is typically in the top left-hand corner of the lock. It learns itself right in. And then you can go physically install it into the door. Okay? So one of the common things, and this is what I was trying to come up with, the things that we hear up at corporate more than anything else. So one of the more common things with the lock is that you hit the button and either the latch bounces or the lock itself won't turn. Okay? That's because you skipped a step in the installation process. And a lot of times it works without that. But what it needs to do is it needs to set the depth of how far that lock should go. So the process of doing that is this step right here. I can read it to you, you can read it yourself, but it is in the instructions. Okay? Even if you went on the website for them and downloaded it, you will see that that's step 10. Or you can call corporate and we can walk you through it. Okay? But again, think of the power of this, that your customer that's brand new to this and is wondering if this is for them, calls you up and says, the lock just keeps bouncing, it's broken. And you can go, okay, no, it's not. Hold on, do me this favor. Get in front of the lock, take the batteries out, hold the lock button, drop the batteries back in and close the door, and you're gonna hear it make a bunch of noise, and then you'll see it lock. And then they're gonna go, wow, you know everything. Or maybe not, but you get my point, okay? Yeah, who's got a question? No, I thought somebody said something. Okay, Tony.
The new change with Alexa requiring your security code to unlock with voice, is that now working?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Yes. Chris, yeah? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that is working. It's all set.
Okay.
That made sense too, obviously, correct? All right, the panic pendant. I didn't have this slide in here up until about an hour or two ago when we started talking about the panic pendant, and I forgot that some of you might know some of the advantages to this panic pendant. So you can read up there. Safety, comfort, familiarity, and home to stay. Why do I say that? Because this really gives some people in your life the ability to stay in their home instead of having to go somewhere else, right? Or having to be looked after by someone else, and they don't want that. So this panic pendant is something that they can wear around their wrist or neck, and it can take the place of you worrying about them 24/7. Okay? It cannot be removed from the home or the business. I heard somebody saying that you can use it as kind of like an alarm for the business. That's a great idea, and we have some people doing that. I think there's a salon that uses it like that, but you can't travel with that. It can't go out of the house because then it's going to fail, and then you're going to have issues trying to get it to connect back in. So just keep that in mind. It's got to stay within the range of the hub. Also, you want it to be configured and tested. This is super, super important, especially if you have a big house. Okay? You want to test this in the four corners of your house before you consider it a solution. Just because you bought it and you learned it in doesn't mean that when you go down in your basement that it works there. So you need to know this information. Correct? I mean, it's not really a solution unless we know it works. So that's a super important piece, and I try to express that to everyone when they get one of these. Just go test it in the four corners of the house. What if where you use it most is in the garden? You're going to need to worry about that. There are plenty of solutions for this too. We get you a cell card in the hub, move the hub closer to the window, guess what? Works just fine. And when we put you in test mode, when you first everyone got their hubs and we had you in test mode, that's when we would test this. If you need to test it after the fact, you call corporate, take us a couple minutes to put you on test. And this way the police don't show up at your door when we're testing these things, okay? One of the, yeah?
I just want to ask.
Sure, shoot.
For those that we have them on for people that have dementia and they accidentally leave them with it, can it ever be reset? Or
Oh, absolutely can be. No, it can be reset. So what's going to happen? That's a good question. She asked if we do leave the home by accident and come back, is it not going to work, or do we have to start all over again? What's going to typically happen is your phone's going to tell you that you have a supervisory fail, and the system's going to start beeping at you. Okay, we're going to talk about beeps soon too. Call us at corporate. We'll happily help you get that fixed again. Typically, that's just something that we have to clear. It will clear itself. It will eventually check back in and know that it's there, but we can clear that a lot quicker if necessary. Yeah?
I use that. I've got a system in my mom's house that's kind of a, so I keep track of her.
Sure.
But when she leaves with that panic pendant, that's when I know she's left, is because I get that signal.
See, I don't know if everyone can hear that. And by the way, we should have a mic around for questions. It's silly. I'm sitting in the back. It's hard for me to hear. But Tony just said he's got a system at his mom's house. And so for me in this system, and we'll go over this together, but knowledge is power. He's learning how to use the system day in and day out. He knows his mom's left the place when he gets that supervisory fail, because she has it on her person, and she leaves, and he goes, oh crap, I know that she's just left. I can jump on a camera, I can take a look, I can call her on the phone, or get the neighbor, anything. So he can react having that knowledge. And that's what I've been doing with the system. We're going to get into that shortly, but I learn different things with this thing every day. Every day that I use it, might I say. Not every day, but every day I use it and start playing around with it, I learn a different thing that I can do with it. Or a different way it fits into my life. Maybe not something that it does differently, because it's been doing it the whole time, but it's knowledge for me. Like I have mine set up that when you open my back door, it records on my camera and sends it to my phone. It sends me a nice text message, it's got a video, the whole nine. So I know I need to see that twice, coming and going. If I don't see it the second time, I know something's wrong. I also, based on time, know, like, did my kid open the door? And is the door still open? And is my dog going to run out? That's all stuff I didn't have the ability to look at before. Now, just with that simple text message, I can tell, did that happen? I've actually called the house and said, shut the door. Okay? So here's something that we just started to work with, really, that's pretty cool, is running scenes. This wasn't something we could do about 6 months ago. We can do that now. What do I mean by running a scene? That panic pendant, when you press that button, it can be set to unlock the door, turn the lights on, a couple different things. I know, that's something we've been working on for a while, and not me. I've been the one just testing it, but it's something that SecureNet and Resolution have been working on, and now I'm happy to say that it is something that can be done, and it's a scene we can set up. And that's huge, right?
You have to contact yours if we're going to set a scene.
Just set a scene, yep. I know Garrett's going to go over some scenes later. I don't know if that's part of it, but they all work the same concept. He's going to show you, and Garrett, if you need me help, I'll jump up here and we can go over it together too, but it's just picking that device and then what that device does when the scene goes off. This stuff is really simple. It might not be stuff that you've looked at before, but I guarantee if you go over it once or twice, any of you in this room can get it. Even people that have no desire to learn technology. You'll learn how to press a couple buttons, test it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try a couple other things, test it. It's going to work.
Does that mean the smoke detector can do the same thing now too?
I'd have to check on the smoke detector. And the reason I said I have to check whether the smoke detector can do that, I haven't tested it, but I will. Be more than happy to. That's one of the things I do up at corporate, and I like doing, me and my team, is give us some scenarios. We're going to go test it. I think, Brian, weren't you the first one to come up with this, that I needed to test this? Yeah. And then for a couple months, I kept going, sorry, dude, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I'm working on it. And then finally we got it to work. So it's stuff that's one of the things that I get to do at corporate for you. Push your agendas and see if it's something that makes sense. Now listen, sometimes it's just not going to make any sense. It's going to be a one-off just for you and only you. It's going to be really hard for me to sell to SecureNet or Resolution. But something like a panic pendant that they sell plenty of, and it really fills a need, I think it's going to be something we can get done, yeah.
I think another great option for people that are dependent on just the panic pendant is hang a key fob on it as well. Now you have more features of being able to do more multiple things without having to touch the app.
Yep. So key fob can also be programmed to run different things as well, and that's what Garrett's saying, that if you have one of these, maybe a key fob is something else that you want to keep close by, or in in pair with it so you can do other things. Yes?
Scott, one of the things I want to mention, was there on CES 15, I met with a company called Keyworks, and they were works with Nest Company, and they ended up, because of some issues that they're having with some lawsuits right now too, they got rid of a lot of the partners. One of the best things that they were doing, and hopefully was that when the smoke detector went off in the house, he needed it to shut hot water heater off. That hot water heater off would actually make it cool, we can keep the air from the shower. So
Okay.
I've seen stuff now with something like that, people aren't going to why.
So that's what Brian's saying, that when the smoke detector went off, it would turn off the hot water heater. Now, I know Fred has displayed for us months ago that we have a device that will turn off your main water. So in theory, and only in theory because I haven't tested it, but I'm pretty sure that that's something we can do. A smoke alarm is just like your door window sensor. It's an open-close scenario. And I'm pretty sure in the app we can set that then that goes off, that in turn will turn off the water.
Yeah, or turn on all your lights, you can get out of the house, unlock your doors.
That's correct.
It should, I mean, it should be able to also turn off the thermostat. I know alarm.com did thermostat.
There is a connection for that to turn off your HVAC, yes.
Right, because, I mean, obviously you don't want air conditioning going.
No, you don't want the fan to flame the fire, obviously. And then what Tony said was have it run a scene where it turns your lights on and unlocks the door so you can get out. That's something we can test, and if that's something that we can do, then we'll spread the word to you guys.
So at this point, there's not a, I guess, geofence. So
No geofencing yet, no.
You get to a certain point, turns on, arms the alarm, locks the door, turns down the lights, everything at once.
For geofencing itself, geofencing is based on location, obviously, and the closer you get to your house, maybe it would unlock your door or open your garage
Or
door.
set a scene to do that. Can you do that?
Set a scene when you get close enough.
No.
Oh.
Let's say, okay,
Sorry,
I'm leaving,
Jim.
right? All right, I'm in my car,
Yep.
ready to leave, right? Okay, I arm the alarm.
Uh-huh.
Everything else goes at the same time. Yes.
Yeah. That's some of the stuff that Garrett's going to go over too, but yes, you can do, and that's why I said, the stuff that you can't imagine what you can do with this until you use it. And I know I'm going to beat this thing to death, but the more you use it, the more, that's how I learned how to do it. Yes, you can set a thing where you can arm your system and power your house down and shut your garage door and turn on the outside light all in one shot, which is awesome. I got the pleasure of going to Chris and Garrett's house yesterday to see how their setup is. I imagine most of you have already been there or seen it, but it was really empowering to stand in that front room and he goes, watch this, and presses one button and you can just watch it light up his whole house. I thought that was the coolest. You know? I don't have my setup like that. I don't have the wall switches in yet. I have other things I use it for, but I thought that was really cool. The chandelier alone, which has no Z-Wave properties behind it whatsoever. It also doesn't have a plug. He's got it wired into the switch on the wall. It's great. It's also probably a dimmer, isn't it? Yep. Okay. So we just went over this. Open doors, turn on lights, etc. Okay? Said it a lot, right? Hey, do you know you can change the name of Alexa? You can name anything you want. You can name it Steve. Steve, turn on my light. I'm not teaching you how to do that, right?
YouTube. I thought it was only 40. You changed it now. So it was Alexa, computer.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's something, a set of them, yeah.
Yeah. But don't set it to computer because they say computer on TV way more than they say.
So what Dean's saying is they only have a handful of choices, computer being one of them, so yeah. But you can name it anything you want down the road, I guarantee it. That's pretty simple. But the reason why I bring that up is because Alexa is still a computing device. So it needs specific commands. Any gray area is not going to work. So if you get a lot of, I didn't understand your command, or I couldn't find that device, you need to be very specific in the way you talk to Alexa. Okay? So there's a setup video on the Jax page. It's really easy to set up. I know, again, I say that and you're like, yeah, you do it all the time. But the one trick that everybody trips on is your name. Your name is in lowercase when we give it to you, your username and password. So it has to go in that way. And all iPhones and my Android always capitalize the first letter and a username. So you have to make sure you make that lowercase when you put it in. If you get that fail when you're trying to set this up, 99% of the time that's the problem, okay? It's a skill within Alexa too. There's lots of skills within Alexa. Another thing that's kind of cool. So I don't even have to talk about this. You guys know how to do all this. The only thing I can express is just the names are very important. Gary and I were talking about this yesterday too, but like I have my light in my TV room named TV Room. And I kept going, Alexa, tell Jax to turn the TV room light off. And I kept going, what are you talking about? Because it's not TV room light. It's a light, yes, but it's TV room. So I have to be specific. If you find yourself saying it that way, name it TV room light. Okay? And I think, Gary, we talked about it, if you don't put the word the in there, that's specific. Artificial intelligence isn't nearly as far as we as basic people know. Maybe other groups that work on it on a regular basis know it's a lot farther, but you have to be really specific. Cameras, and this is my last slide. There's one more after this and we can do some questions because I know this is one that everybody has questions about, and this is typically what people have the most fear over, right? It's not Alexa, it's the cameras, okay? So one thing about these cameras, and I've played with other cameras from other people, the quality it's incredible. It's so crystal clear to look at these cameras, especially when light's coming in and the color. I was very impressed when I first turned it on, okay? You can move it, you can talk through it, you can record with it, you can have peace of mind because of it. And what do I mean by that? My kid doesn't answer his phone, I hop on my camera, I go, hey, go pick up your phone. And I can hear him because I can talk through it. He goes and gets his phone. I have an event again set, so when my back door opens, it records. And the camera's pointing right down the hallway and sees that door, so I know who's coming and going. I just put a porch/deck on the back there, so that was important because I couldn't lock that door. So I knew when that door opened, I at least had a video confirmation of what was happening. Okay? And again, if I only saw it go in one direction, I knew there was something really wrong. There's a video in your back office, okay? And this is important because Chris and I made this video. It was one of the webinars, and they're going to show you that stuff. I was going to actually throw that, but Chris and Sarah are going to come up after Garrett and go over that stuff, so they'll show you where that is. But watch this video. I mean, if you got on your phone, it's pretty straightforward. If you do like technology and you play around with it, that's great. But if you don't, watch this video, pause it, do a couple steps, go play the video game. Pause it again until you get it right, okay? There's some step-by-step instructions in there. And then the common things with this are, if it gets stuck or if it doesn't work, there's a reset button on the back of it. You can press that and hold down for 15 seconds. It's like you just took it out of the box. You got to start all over again, okay? Or you can call corporate. We would happily help you get these things set up. Some of the other common things with the camera, you can't use your microphone or move the camera. I've had 2 or 3 people ask me about that already today. Installing it. These things are all new. The app's on your phone, so sometimes they get a little, so you want to remove it and put it back in. Okay? I know on the iPhones too that you have to change some settings to make the sound work and the microphone work, right? And you got to help me with that because I have an Android and I know that they're asking for help, so we'll do that together shortly. But one of the other things is you can get a cell card for your hub that we talked about before, and maybe take some of the abuse from your wireless router off by using the cell card for the hub for some of the stuff. That's really a backup, although it works quite well. Okay? And the wireless router thing I put up there, if your wireless router reads Linksys, it's really old. It's time to change it. We want to upgrade to ones that are a little newer. A lot of the ones that come from your cable company or your phone provider, your AT&Ts, those typically are good enough to run these things. But it's also based on location. If it's the same thing as the hub and the Z-Wave devices. If your router's in one corner of your house and your camera's in the other corner of your house, you're going to run into problems. It's just like anything else wireless, correct? The other thing is Ethernet if possible. So where I put this camera, it's right next to my hub for my connection to the outside world. I leave it plugged in Ethernet. I don't run it off wireless. I have enough wireless devices running in my house. I don't have to add another one if I can avoid it. It'll run faster, I promise you. Okay? So that's just a couple things to think about. We were talking about some other things with hotspots and stuff, but that's really going down the road of too much tech for one day. So, questions? We're going to go back to the room first. Yes.
I'm new at this. And,
Jim, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Some
Jim.
of you guys might think this is funny. I don't with my wife out in the meeting. I was one night this last week, Tuesday, Wednesday night. I got home from work. Yeah, you think it's funny. I got home from work and I went into the bedroom and I was changing clothes. And my wife was in the living room with my son. And she said, "Would you please quit messing with the lights?" And I said, "I'm not. I'm changing my clothes." And so this happened 3 or 4 times. And so after I got through, I went to my app, and I'm looking at my app, and my door is unlocked and locking. My lights are coming on. I got dimmer switches. My lights are dimming and going bright, and back and forth. And she's screaming at me by this time. I said, "I am not doing anything. I promise you." So I go in the living room and I show her my phone and I said, "I'm not, look." And my lights and stuff were going nuts. So then I get a phone call. And it was one of the people that I had just signed up. "Hey, Jim, what are you doing?" I said, "Man, you called me at the wrong time." I said, "I'm starting to have second doubts about this." I said, "My system's going crazy. Lights going on and off, on and off, on and off. Door like heat. And I said, "I'm going to call Daryl because he's Mr. Technical." He goes, No. Call Travis. Travis is this one here. Another one that's under me. So I said, "Well, no, let me call Daryl." He goes, "No, hold on. We're going to call Travis. I'm going to put you on a 3-way. So he gets on the phone and he said, "What are you doing, buddy?" And I said, "Man, you wouldn't believe this, but I said, my lights are going on and off, my door's locking and locking, my dimmers are going from 0 to 100 to 60 to 100. And I said, my house is possessed." And all of a sudden, they started laughing. If you are new, on the app, everybody's password is their first initial and their last name. 1, 2, 3, 4. For God's sakes, change it.
Or get new friends, one or the other, because
Your friends can go into your app and you think now cameras and it really got to show. The same thing about that in my best. I did. Yes.
And your friends knew more than you did.
Well, no, the worst part it was my sponsor didn't even know it yet. No, that's a complete information failure because he just sitting around thinking about it one afternoon and he thought, you know what, everybody's the same.
I like that. Yes, you should absolutely change your password. If I can give you some advice, you should change your password on all your stuff yearly, at minimum. Don't tell your friends.
It shouldn't be the word password.
It's not yet. Password is a bad password.
Unless you put the word, the @ symbol, right? Then it's the word.
Oh yeah. Unless you change one of the characters, right? Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You got a story? Should I get the microphone closer instead?
I'm not a
Thank you, Jim.
So what we discussed about the cameras, about the speed and stuff like
Yes.
that. You want to go into more detail on that?
Sure. So your average house, whether you think you have rocket speed with your internet access, you probably do on the download, and that's great when you're streaming videos and movies to your TV or all that stuff. But when you talk about cameras, it's upload speed, and most people don't have more than about a meg, if you're lucky, with upload speed. This is easily fixed. You just call up your cable or your service provider and say, you need to step me up to all the stuff you're selling to the new people, because I know I've been a customer for 2 years and I haven't been paying attention to it. Why is that important? Your average camera uses a minimum of about a meg to make it look and work good. Maybe a little less than 1 meg. So if all you have for upload speed is 1 meg, you're going to max out with one camera, and then when you add other things to your house, and I'm not even talking about the jack stuff, but your in general stuff in your house that might want to use upload, sending emails or pictures, Facebook, those are all going to slow your internet speed down to where your camera will not work. Now if you have 2 and 3 cameras, you need to make sure that your bandwidth is enough. If you call corporate, we can tweak that a little bit for you and slow the speed down, the frames per second down, so maybe your provider can't give you much more or the price point doesn't make sense. We can kind of tweak out your cameras so you can get 1, 2, 3 of them on there. But that's absolutely something you want to pay attention to. And one of the tests you can do with your customers while you're at their house is you can go on Google and put in test my speed. And that's one of the websites. I think it's testmyspeed.com or speedtest.com. And it's going to test the upload and download speed at the same time.
Speedtest is an app, but you want to make sure that you don't do it on your phone, do it on their phone.
Right. I recommend you.
Their internet, not
Right.
yours.
I recommend that you do one of their stationary, a laptop or a desktop. If you can't, then yes, you get their phone on their Wi-Fi and you can test it from there. One more question, maybe 2 at best, because I know we got to get on to the next people, because I'm just so amusing up here.
For a 2-level house, would you recommend a booster?
A 2-level house? So here's how routers work. You can get one, and you can get a really great one. You can spend a couple $100. I know that sounds crazy, but when you really think about what goes through that, most of your life, it's worth it. Routers work best down to up, okay? They work up to down, but they work best down to up. So if you have 2 or 3 levels is what we're asking here, you can get a booster, which is what you'd put halfway, not all the way too. That's what most people make a mistake with a booster. You have your router here, and this is where it stops. This is not where you put your booster. You put your booster in the middle, where it has nice strong strength from your router and can continue that signal maybe a little farther. Or you spend a good amount of money on a real router, which is going to be at least a couple $100, 125, 150, somewhere in there. It's based on your size of your house and how many devices you put through too. Any other questions?
Good job.
One more. Thank you.
I have a question. So, we put our cameras here at our grandson spend the night. First time we so I watch through the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I fell asleep, he has text loop and he was yelling into the camera, but grandma and grandpa didn't hear him. Is there any way that we could like maybe do a laptop where it can stay on constantly? I know.
The phone will time out, yes. That's a good question. I think if you did it through the MyJax app, that might work. On a laptop or something, where that will stay on. You got to check the power settings for the laptop too to make sure it's not set to turn off after 30 minutes or an hour, which almost all of them are.
I don't think those cameras are designed.
I think the website that tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to time out.
The cameras might time out too. That's something I have to look at. I know it's constantly recording.
These are motion activated cameras with live feed.
No,
Right.
they're not motion activated. No. Yes, Gary.
You can set up a motion detector, put it on bypass, and that baby moves, you can set that camera to record the text there.
That's a good point too. That's kind of like what I have on my door. You could set that up where see, this is what I'm talking about. Now, Gary, is that something you read or is it something you figured out? Yeah, exactly. So he said you can set up a motion detection so where if the kid gets up and moves around, it's going to trigger the camera to record and send you a message.
But I have not tried that with baby.
Yeah. Maybe the puppies. Okay, so let me wrap it up and give it over to Fred, and then we're going to move on to Garrett, and then finally Chris and Sarah to go over some of the back office stuff. Thank you guys. It's really a pleasure meeting with everybody. Talk to you soon.
Good job, dude.